so much. I really appreciate the invitation and happy to see all of you here today. I'm just going to sit and present. This is not, is the screen on, Justin? Okay. And here is a sign-up sheet. If anyone wants to get our information, we send out a newsletter once a month, and we also, if you're an educator, let me know on that, but it's a mix and share with your communities as well. So, I don't know how close. All right. Can you guys all see it? You might want to move over here. Well, my name's Julie Dreifald. I have been with One Chance to Grow Up for 6 years, almost, in April. And I actually was in children's ministry and sales before that. So I have a very unique background. I worked with Chris at Cherry Creek Pres. I love kids. They're amazing. So in saying that, I'm an ENFP on the Myers-Briggs. So people and connections are what drive me. So I'm going to tell you, because if you were presenting, I would want to know a little about you. So this is me in a slide. I love Taylor Swift. I went to the concert, and she was amazing. This is my husband, Ian, and we have 3 kids and 2 giant Great Dane dogs. My son's at CU, he's a senior, and the middle girl is a nursing school at Missouri, and our youngest is a senior in high school. And then we also have a 13-year-old Mastiff who hates the Great Danes. I love to cook. I love the nuggets, and I love Aaron. I'm happy that he's recovered from his big dog bite. I'm originally from Ohio. No comments, Doug. He's from Michigan. And I'm a big Buckeye fan. Love hockey. My husband plays every Sunday night. I'm in a couple book groups. Coach Prime might be my next husband because I love him. I bought the Blender sunglasses, and my family all makes fun of me because I think I'm cooler than I really am. Mizzou, I like tennis, I love to snowshoe, I love kids, and pickleball. So that's who I am. I found this quote last summer, and I brought it up at our dinner table to my kids. People protect what they love, and I asked them, what do you love? And they said, oh, those sad puppies on TV, or the turtles, or our rescued, dogs that we have. We love our grandparent, we love our cousins, our aunt and uncle. We love God. We want, what do they love? So people protect what they love, and you see that, and that's what all of you are here for, because you care about the kids in your community. So I applaud you for being here, so thank you. I care deeply about kids. I've babysat since the age of 13. I love kids. I worked in children's ministry for 10 years. I love my kids more than my heart can possibly fathom, but I also love their friends and their sorority sisters. And the kids, I was a basketball coach, a very poor basketball coach, but I was a basketball coach. I just love engaging with kids and hearing what they have to say. So when inequities happen to them, whether it's the children that have died from abuse or neglect, or these kids that are entering hospitals because they've been accidentally poisoned by marijuana, or their minds have been affected and are experiencing psychosis, it makes me mad, and I feel like the more people know about this, the more people they can protect. This is a tough slide. This is why Doug and Alton and Allison and I are here, and this is why we do what we do. Levi is in the left-hand corner. Levi had an unimaginable amount of edibles and jumped off a balcony in 2014, and he was so high he didn't know what was happening. Ethan is in recovery. His story is on Rocky Mountain PBS. I don't think I have it in this slide deck, but it's a very strong story. He developed cannabis-induced psychosis and really struggled to survive and got the help he needed. The boy's lungs, I was just talking to Jeff back there about vaping. This actually happens to be a college friend of mine. This is her son, Daniel. He vaped for 3 months, both marijuana and nicotine, and the doctor said it was like mustard gas in his lungs, and he was the first recipient of a double lung transplant. It made national news. My friend is a transplant surgeon over at Anschutz, and he said if he makes it to 40, it'll be a miracle, because lungs are meant to be in your body and preserved. So anything you put in your lungs should be air. That's it, nothing else. Sammy's on the bottom. That's Sammy Yeager. He was in a cannabis-induced psychosis and had a run-in with the Jeffco police and was killed. I forget his name, sorry. William, in the middle, he was on a new hemp-derived cannabis and took his own life. And then there's Randy at the end, and he died July 17th, 2021, from cannabis-induced psychosis and taking his own life. And his parents are being interviewed this week, actually yesterday, for the Dr. Phil show. So the message is getting out that marijuana is deadly. It's not the same pot it used to be, and it can cause serious and permanent problems. The little girl on the left, her story was in People magazine, so I stalked her on Facebook, the mom, and that's Morgan McCoy, who has testified multiple times. Her story is on our YouTube channel, and Morgan accidentally took Hawaiian tropic red gummies that were the color, of those poinsettias and looked very enticing, and she overdosed and had seizures and was hospitalized and did survive. But Morgan wants the message out that pot should not look like candy. Doug kind of gave you a quick overview, but we formed in 2013. We were invited to Governor Hickenlooper's office at the time, and health, safety, and well-being for kids was ranked last, and the ease of the consumer was ranked number one. So at that moment, we knew that our mandate was set. Somebody had to be speaking for the Colorado kids. For 12 years, we've been the sole voice dedicated to kids. We're nonprofit, nonpartisan. We have 10,000 members from every single state, and I'm super proud to say that we've impacted 37 pieces of legislation here in Colorado and actually in a few other states as well. And if anyone has any questions, I don't think we have to hold, it's a small enough group, just raise your hand, I'm happy to answer. This is a quick roadmap of what we've done. What's great about One Chance to Grow Up, we were formed as Smart Colorado, so we just started putting regulations in place because it was a whole new ball game, it was a whole new industry. So people are like, there wasn't child-resistant packaging. A lot of common sense things that One Chance to Grow Up helped get done. Testing the products, labeling the products, the THC with the exclamation mark, One Chance to Grow Up, got that in place. And we fought a whole nother session because they wanted to remove it. And that's been, what's great about a lot of the things we've done here is they have become best practices in other states. So we get calls weekly from other states saying, well, how did you do this? How can we help? So this is a lot of our, of labelings and the regulations that we've done. We do this because this is really affecting our kids' brains, very much so. And I'll go into some of the science here so you can see. And we're talking about all kids. I mean, One Chance to Grow Up is in the space of protecting the unborn and breastfeeding child because THC, the Surgeon General has come out and said there's no known safe amount of THC for the unborn or breastfeeding child. That's a message that a lot of parents don't hear. So we do know that THC is rising in some of our pregnant and breastfeeding mothers here in the Denver metro area. Okay, so there's a huge difference that we know between commercialization, legalization, decriminalization, criminalization, THC, CBD. It's a super confusing network. So really today, and I call it, just so you all know, I call it marijuana because that's how it was regulated in Amendment 64. So I know that word can be polarizing in some communities, but we call it that because that's how it was legalized here in our state. So, but we're really not even talking about cannabis, we're talking about THC, which is the component that makes you high. So THC over the years, you can see it once it became legal, so in Colorado, medical marijuana became legal in 2000. And then you see when it hit commercialization, it exploded to 90% THC in some of the products that we have on the market. And this slide is a couple years old. There's now products that are 99% pure THC. So there's no studies that shows what that does to the developing brain. But we're seeing, this is what we are seeing, even with some of the lower numbers: addiction, suicide ideation, sleep issues, anxiety, depression, and psychosis. Ironically, these are a lot of the things that people, especially young kids and young adults, go to get help for. They say it helps me sleep, it helps with my anxiety, it helps with my depression, and it actually exacerbates it. This is a study that came out a couple years ago. This is pretty frightening. So this is your brain. We all only have one brain. So this high potency stuff that's on the market, so anything over 15% is considered high potency according to this study. If you use it 3 times in a week, if you used it at all, it increased your risk of psychosis 3 times. If you were a daily user, it increased your risk of psychosis 5 times. That's a significant amount. 93% of the products found in all the legalized markets here in Colorado are over 15%. So it's even impossible to find the THC that existed when we were kids. Any questions on that? And as you see in the little red, less than 5%, there was no risk of psychosis. So the big issues we're talking about is the potency of these products.
What do you mean in psychosis? Like, is it a mental break that they come back from, or it's a psychotic break that they get stuck in?
And anecdotally, it can be both. So there was a study that came out that I'll cover later that said of people that get it, 47%, of people that develop a psychotic episode, 47% go on to develop full-blown schizophrenia or bipolar disease. So, and I'm not saying 40% of all users, but 40% of those people that have a break can develop. That's 50-50. So, Jude, you were asking me, what do we tell kids? I think that's something you tell your kids, that you might be one of the ones, like your brain is too precious. And a lot of these numbers dissipate after the age of 25, but the psychosis I've heard in adults too. And anecdotally, I've worked with several doctors, and I mean, they said 3 of my patients are in a permanent state of psychosis. So, and it's hard. So, this is 2021 deaths here in Colorado. As you can see, marijuana is the #1 substance, and almost 42%, almost 43% of deaths generalized as suicides in the toxicology report. And this next slide kind of breaks it down. It's in almost 67% of our black youth, 15 to 19, 49% of our Hispanic youth, and then the column to the right are the people that identify as male in all those race demographics too. So you see it's really decimating the black and browns community and our young men. So it's really affecting their brains. I have this over here too, so I'd love for you to take a look at. This is Denver. And we asked the Denver Excise and License, who provides all the stats on where the dispensaries, the grow house, the cultivations are. So those are all the dots. And then we asked the Children of Office Affairs for the Well-Child Being Index. Are you all familiar with the Well-Child Being Index? It's the factors that can affect. I gotta put my glasses on for this one. It's factors that affect neighborhoods. So the ones that are in darker blue. So it's birth to women without a high school diploma, teen births, obese children, kindergarten readiness, 3rd grade not reading, chronically absent 9th graders, child poverty, violent crime, and unemployment, and single parent families. So as you see, the dispensaries are in the communities that are most at risk, which really should also be something that is maddening. So when you got some people on the Denver City Council that are voting for some of these hospitality or social consumption sites, they're not in these communities. So the people in the communities, and I'd love to see what the alcohol stores look like in this, and I'd love to see what the grocery stores look like in this, because I'm sure they're food deserts as well. So we're really putting more of these products in communities that are at risk. This is some of the way we drive our messaging. We've had campaign billboards throughout the state and throughout the state. So Can You Spot the Pot was the first one we did. It was right after marijuana was legalized here in Colorado, and at that point they were spraying, they would buy it at Costco and they would spray on THC. So we're like, what? So because of that billboard, it was before my time, so Doug can probably speak to it, but it helped get the policy changed that you could not do that. So
Passed in the legislative hearing, he sprayed on goldfish and Swedish fish and others around, and some of them were like marijuana and some did not. Could not tell. So you want some of this? So anyways, it was quite
we've also taken a whole little red wagon of Girl Scout cookies that would be equivalent to one serving, and it was like, or 1 ounce, which was a serving, which was 2,000 cookies. So, I mean, sometimes visuals are really powerful to get the message across. We did a billboard campaign at North High School this past fall. So I spoke there in fall of 2022, and they said, one of the parents is like, we would love a Spanish like some kind of Spanish language campaign. So we went back to the team, we got funding for it, and we got slides, or 4 billboards off of Federal near North High School, all in Spanish. And so these warnings come from a bill that we passed in 2021. So these are mandated state warnings. These are from the state of Colorado. And these need to be, every time you purchase high THC concentrate marijuana, these are supposed to be handed to you in a flyer, which they're not, but they're supposed to be. So we took these and we put them in the billboards, and then we launched a very large digital campaign that just ended yesterday, and it really, we got over 1.3 million hits on it, so it was a very strong campaign. And here, Alton and I, Julissa Soto, and some members of DPS and the One Chance team are underneath the billboard right on Federal, and it got a lot of great press, both in the Spanish language and English language communities. So we also educate on high THC products, and that's probably why some of you are here today. You want to know what we're talking about. So these products here, we all know the pretty green leaf in the left-hand corner that everyone, with every story that's on every newscast, it shows that. Even though it's an accidental ingestion, even though it might be a vape pen, even though it might be the shatter. So shatter is below it. Does anyone know what shatter or butter or honey is? Raise your hand. I'd love to know. You do. Correct. Yep. So you can take that and you can put it into a dab rig and vaporize it and ingest it, and it gets you extremely high, extremely fast. But I was telling Jeff as well that they now have that technology in a pen. So these kids, before, you would have to bring this big dab rig and a butane torch to school or on the school bus. But most of them now, it's heating high enough. They're using the same shatter and honey, but it's high concentrate, and it gets you very high very quick. And this is the stuff that we're talking about that's causing a lot of the mental health and the psychotic breaks. On the far right side are beautiful little vape pens that look like crayons, and they're strawberry and I think pink lemonade were the 2 flavors. On the bottom is an edible that I purchased actually at a store. So this was at a head shop. No, it was online. I'm sorry, this was online. It's called Mom's Apple Pie. It has 6 different kinds of THC in it, with the equivalent of, I think, 350 milligrams of THC in 1 cookie. This cookie is in this package that my daughter is holding. At this point, she was 17. So I ordered it online, not to use. We shop the markets so we can educate people on what it looks like, what it smells like, how appealing it is for children. So Mom's Apple Pie. So my daughter went to I didn't know it was in the mailbox. She's like, hey, did you order an Amazon package? And I'm like, no, what is that? And so she could have been 12, she could have been 8 and gotten into it and not know. If I wasn't home, she could have eaten and said, oh, Mom got something on Amazon. So very frightening that we are looking to really target the regulations around that. There's an age gate that all I had to do was, I'm 21. So there's nothing other than that. I didn't have to provide any. And then I went to that's later on. Yes, sir. This was an online purchase, yes. This is for hemp. So I'll go a little bit. So it's not for the legal cannabis market. It's hemp-derived THC, which also is intoxicating. It is. It's legal in all 50 states because of a bill called the Farm Bill in 2018. So they were able to get it. So it was supposed to be 0.3% THC, but the marijuana industry's created all these enzymes and salts and derivatives. It's a whole chemical process that they create things that have, a soda can have 10 or 1,000 milligrams of THC in it.
It's a loophole. McConnell passed the Farm Bill 4 years ago. That's every 4 years it provides subsidies to our farmers and so on. And in Kentucky, hump's a big deal, and so we got hemp legalized in there. And it was supposed
Denver, or Colorado is working on that too. We're looking to, you can't buy it online. So, and I'll show you the slide in a minute. So this is something that one of our teammates bought. This is a vape pen. It's biscotti flavored. It fits in your palm. It's really small. And it has 500 milligrams. So just for reference, we help mandate that edibles here in Colorado can only have 10 or 100 milligrams in a package and 10 milligrams per serving. So this one vape pen has 5,000 milligrams. So again, and it's legal. And it's called biscotti, which is a cookie. So this is I think they said for that, Henny just put that in the op-ed, I think, well, that's the other thing, there's no serving size. So some of them say 1 puff or 2 hits, or it's super variable and ambiguous. So, and that was, I think, $55, $64 with taxes. So it turns out to be like 5 cents a hit to get high, 5 cents to get high. Does that make sense? So it wow, right. So this is hemp that I was just talking to you about. So I went to 2 head shops, one in Centennial, one in Denver, and then I did the online purchase. So one place said I had to be 18, one place said I had to be 21, somebody said, no, Governor Polis has made Delta 8 illegal. Somebody said, oh yeah, we have Delta 8. This is all within like 3 miles. I had to show my ID at one place, I did not at the other. The online sales, there's no age verification except for are you 21, and everything you see here is intoxicating, and a lot of these are kid friendly. So there were gummies, there were this CBD hash that I bought on the bottom actually was from Europe, and it was 2 years expired when I pulled back the label. There was Pop Rocks, remember Pop Rocks that we used to put in our mouth? That's the THC rocks, they kind of burst in your mouth. There is a vape pen called Cereal Milk. I saw one yesterday, and excuse my language, but it was called Unicorn Piss. I saw for the first time. I was like, who are we marketing to? Like, it's ridiculous. So, like Doug said, this is the Wild West, but it is something that you need to be made aware of. It's legal in all different states. It's not in the dispensary model, but it is available pretty much at every head shop. In a lot of states, it's available at gas stations and 7-Eleven, et cetera. There's my daughter with the... So we have a website called THC Photos. If you are looking for pictures or want information, we have several different states. I purchase all these products. My families love it when I go on vacation. I was in Washington doing a college tour with one of my kids, and I was like, I have to go to the dispensary. So, but these were frightening. Their soda in the middle was called Blaze, and the little can of soda was 10 servings. I don't know anybody that drinks this much of a soda, you know. And then there are sugar packets. The rainbow belts, those are no longer legal here in Colorado, so we're helping to get the message out. There's chocolate chip cookie dough, as well as these pretzels. Also, the one thing I want to make note is the one that looks like vitamin C capsules, the hybrid, that is something that we would love to get done. That's how edibles should look. And that's how we think edibles. That's not appealing to a kid. I don't know any 5-year-old, or to be honest, 15-year-old that's going to want to take a big caplet to get high. So the risk of accidental ingestion is definitely lower. So I asked Jude if he wanted me to include some of these things. So I really want to quickly tell you what we've done here in Denver and throughout Colorado. So 420, does everyone know the 420 festival? If you don't, raise your hand. Well, shame on you. Good for you that you all know. So it is a celebration of marijuana. It started out as a First Amendment right before marijuana was legalized here, and people would get on the steps and smoke at 420 and celebrate it. Well, now that it's legal, it's become, I used to be in the trade show arena, and it's a huge trade show. There's swag, there's marketing, there's promotions, there's giveaways. You're not supposed to smoke, as you see, that's not true. And I looked at other festivals throughout the country, and they all were 21 plus, but Denver's was not. So we're like, well, that doesn't feel right. So there's a kid in a little blanket there. Here's a couple other families with babies at the recent 421 festival. So we usually go down there and just kind of see what's going on. So we used to work with Euflora, and then they got bought out by Big Jars, I think. So they were like promoting this to all people. They said 21's recommended, but all are welcome. So we fought this issue every year. So I think 2 years, last year, or 2 years ago, we got mad. We're like, this is ridiculous. This is a super simple thing. So we're like, we went to the city and we went to the organizers and we finally got it made, and we made a stink. So here are some other kids that are there that are, not adults, skipping school. We went to Denver Public Schools. We asked for absentee rates on when 420 fell on a school day, and they were, I think it was 42% like absentee rate when 420 fell on a school day. So we're like, well, we know kids are going. So we brought that back. We partnered with DPS. They shared the messaging. This all happened within just a couple weeks. It was amazing. So we shared it with 93,000 families of DPS. We shared the message out to 15,000 people on our social networks. We got a petition signed. We were in the news 9 times. We had a press conference at the 5280 High School, which is a high school of recovery students, which was phenomenal. And then what did we get? We got 21 plus. So, and they said going forward, that will remain the same. So that was a super easy win, grassroots win, lots of community members involved. So that was very exciting to get that done. The other problem, which is a little bit more complicated, and I'll wrap it up as quickly as I can on this. So medical marijuana, we talked to SROs, the school resource officers and principals, and we're like, what are you seeing in your schools? Like when you arrest somebody, or not arrest, when a kid gets in trouble with marijuana, they're like, we're seeing it in medical packaging. We're like, okay, so then we went to the Marijuana Enforcement Division and looked at who had the dispensaries. So then, or who had the medical marijuana carts. So please bear with me, this all does make sense. So as you see, the light blue, in 2017, there was 289 kids, 0 to 17, getting medical cards. And you have to have a parent to get a medical card if you're under the age of 17. And the primary reason was autism. So then we see in the darker blue, you can see exponentially, it's a 700% increase from kids going from 17 to 18 getting a medical card. HIPAA kicks in, you don't have to have a parent could have no idea. You can go to the back of this dispensary, talk to a doctor and say, I have pain in my back. So you know these kids don't have glaucoma, they don't have cancer, they're not all of a sudden experiencing autism and any of the other issues. So what they're doing is they're buying copious amounts and selling it to their schools. So we saw this as a problem, needed to wrap up the loophole. So we met with 72 of the Colorado legislators. We gave presentations across the city and the state. We found multiple champions willing to testify. I actually testified at 12:15 the next day next to a 17-year-old young man, and he stole the show. He told the legislators, he said, I can go out and get pot in 2 minutes at midnight in Denver. And he was 17. It would not take me anything, and it's cheap. So kids, it really resonated. And we had several parents that had children that had been harmed or killed or had experienced psychotic episodes. So as you see, we did a huge campaign. We had multiple partners. We had 50 strategies. Confluence Ministries was one of our strategic partners. We had Urban Peak, we had Boys and Girls Club, we had United Way. So the governor had no choice but to sign the bill. So here he is signing the bill. I was on the far left. My yellow pants made it into People magazine. The story made it into People magazine, so I was very excited. But Alec Arnett, the Speaker of the House at that point, was a huge champion, and he really got the ball rolling on this and fought for it. So the woman in the blonde hair holding the picture is Laura and her husband, John Stack, and they lost their son. He had a psychotic break and took his own life. So they're very passionate about this issue. So you hear all these things that happen. Well, we had super awesome results. This is what happened. So this is what we asked for. So now, again, you could go into the back of a dispensary. Now you have to have 2 physicians required to make the diagnosis to get you a medical card, and it has to be in person. It's no longer online. They have to provide information, like there's a dosing and a 6-month follow-up. So that's really important. The tracking, which was a line item in the bill, but it was very inexpensive because the dispensaries were like, well, how are we going to pay for this? And we're like, yeah, we'll get you money. So now, like if Allison goes into one store and she buys as much as she can. She can't go to the next store because they were going to as many stores as you could possibly drive to. So then they're like, no, you can't get any more today. No, it's for everybody. But that number, the 70% decrease, this is from November. So within a year, we saw a 70% decrease in the patients 18, 19, and 20 getting a med card. So we knew that it was not pain. We knew that it wasn't actual. So, and then those warnings also came from the bill. And there's a lot of things that aren't quite as fun, but data is really important. That's where, as you see, we went back to DPS to get information. We asked that for the information for Child Welfare Office. Data is really important, so we asked for toxicology reports for all unnatural deaths under the age of 25. So those numbers are slowly coming in, but that's where we got that it's the number one substance found in completed suicides. I don't know. I don't. That's a great question. We've not seen those numbers. I mean, Denver police have not told us that they've seen a huge kick up, and we talk to them on a pretty regular basis. They have not seen it. No, they don't do anything. But I don't know. Have you seen any? I mean, yeah. So that is a good question.
Anecdotally, there was a story in Westward that happened right after legalization. Essentially, people asking if it's still possible to go to the civic center store and get that.
Yeah. So okay. Mm-hmm. Right. But I do think it's cut the person that's selling it at their school because it's made it very difficult to take it to the school and sell it. These are, oh, sorry. Do you have another question? Oh, it's all right. You're good. Well, and I do have an opiate slide, so I'll show that in a minute here. These are health statements from CDPHE. These are very powerful, I think. I mean, so much that I want to read them. Weekly or more frequent use is strongly associated with failure to graduate from high school. Near and near daily use strongly associated with developing a schizophrenic or a psychotic episode, such as schizophrenia in adulthood. Strongly associated with psychotic symptoms. And the more you use and the younger you use, those numbers go up. So so a lot of the messaging might be delay, delay, delay. If you have a child that really thinks they want to use it and experiment, don't until you're later. Future marijuana addiction associated with not attaining a college degree and associated with suicide thoughts. So those are powerful, I think, sentences. This is something that a doctor shared with us last year. So when a child first uses alcohol, the average use rate or age is 16 and a half, and same with cannabis. But you can see that it takes 3 years for somebody to start trying marijuana to a regular use. I'm sorry, trying alcohol to regular use. It's not even 2.5 months with first time of use to regular use. So we have a very short window of prevention to talk to these kids and let them know that this is not good. So if you know somebody that's just started, have that conversation as soon as you can. I'd like to know, what are you guys seeing in your communities? Does anyone want to share or talk or? Okay. Right. Smart.
live in my house, you're gonna get a written test. Thankfully, he's doing better. He struggled a little in college, but they came to me and said, "Could you test us?" And I
So
was
the
like,
accountability was important.
"Yeah, if you want accountability, of course I will." 'Cause they both said at the time, "Well, I wish my mom would do that. I wish my mom cared enough to have those conversations with me, like you do." And so I did. I was like, I told the boy, like, I can't watch you, but I can watch her and trust that you're being honest with me. So I used my own money and bought a big old pack of
Wow.
tests on Amazon. They graduated drug free, and
I'm serious.
you know, listening to that nudge from God to offer and to share my story. Because now, even when I go back there every week and I talk to the kids and I tell them, like, I know, like, they do graffiti on the walls and some of it's really cool, and then they did this thing with wax, and I'm like, get that off right now. And they're like, but it's just about candles. Do I look stupid? I'm like, I know what that is. It's called a dab, and I know exactly what you do with it. Get it off my wall. You know?
Right.
And they're like, oh, well, how do you know? I'm like, because my own son struggled with it. And then it's a whole, like, whoa, what? You? I'm
Right.
like, do you think just because I'm a youth pastor that we have a perfect family? Let me tell you.
Let me tell you, that's not that.
And then it, like, it just leads to those conversations. But most of them, like, I had a kid just last week, the first day back from break, and I was talking to him and just sharing, like, this just makes me so nervous. And we're looking at hosting the Use Strangers Retreat
Oh, yeah.
on the drug use and
Right.
stuff. But I want to have someone like you come, because I don't want to just show this screening and have parents left with like, oh my gosh, this is what is happening, but now what?
Right.
I would love to have like,
This is a problem, but there's tools. I mean, there's tools. I'm actually speaking at Skinner Middle School tomorrow night because they're showing that film. If anyone wants to go, it's a great. It's the Screenagers, which is about social media. But they've done 3 of them. Yeah, third one, and it's about marijuana, alcohol, and opiate use, and how it interweaves with social media. Agers, yeah.
this young man, Cruz, goes, I'm fine, my lungs are fine. I go, oh, you think so? I said, do you want to have this conversation? And he's like, yeah, what do you have to say about it? And I said, I have a 17-year-old who was ranked 6th in the world in cheerleading. She's been in ICU for a year and a half now. Because she decided when she was on the road at a cheer competition, everybody was leaving, she was going to try it. 2 months later, the same
Right.
that
The
picture
lung.
you showed with the lungs, and she's
Yeah.
still alive by the grace of God, but nothing has changed. Nothing has changed,
Yeah.
and she's just
That's the problem with a lot of these products. It's a roulette. I mean, it really is. It's like you don't know. You don't know if your brain is going to have that psychotic. You don't know if your lungs are going to experience that. So, well, these are some of the tools we have that we want to partner with you in any way we can. I have a table set up over there. So, we have a marijuana-free zone. We have that in both Spanish and English. If you want to take those, you're welcome to use them. We worked with Boys and Girls Club, so this is in all the Boys and Girls Club, and then also in the DPS 207 schools. We have Inform, which will help you get education. We have newsletters. We go into depth once a month with our No THC, so you can know a little bit more about the latest data and the latest science on edibles or vaping or anything else. We want to partner with you, so let us know. We have a youth council, so if you have any dynamic kids that you know that care about this issue, we would love to have them join our youth council. Jude, like I said, was a partner of ours, so if your organization wants to become a coalition partner, we would love to have you. If you ever want to testify, there's a couple bills going on right now that may or may not need our support at the Capitol down the street here. You know, if you like to talk or have a contact with industry, media, let us know. Or if you want to write an op-ed and feel very strongly what you're seeing in your community, we have people that can help you. So that's kind of all I have today. If you have any further questions, there was a great thing I thought I had in the slide deck. In the Wall Street Journal last week was the article. You can Google it online, but it just showed all those. I mean, like we said, that the data is coming more and more and more rapidly and accurately the THC is affecting our kids, but that's where the psychosis and schizophrenia data was from. So Google it.
There was just one comment, just having a conversation with kids and youth that are in your lives, right? And just something as simple as, oh, I learned about dad at this thing, and they'll perk up and say, you know about dad?
Right.
What is that? And then they get into a conversation with them. Yeah, that marijuana is high potency and just see where they are. So just having conversations leads to, good things.
Yeah, there's a SAMHSA, the Substance Use and Mental Health Organization nationally. They have some really good resources called Talk, They Hear You. We have a couple of them on our own website, but they have a really good campaign to just have questions to help get the conversation started. So, and kids don't believe it's going to happen to them. They don't believe, so you just need to say, well, let's just try. Let's just try not to use for 6 months or a month and see how you feel. And it is addictive. I have a great message over there called False Messages. So our kids have been sold down the river. They've been told that it helps with their sleeping. It helps with their anxiety. You can't get a DUI when you're high, which is crazy because you can. I've known several kids that have. So, and it really can derail your life. I know many kids that were on one path and then, 10 years later are still off their path. They're not hitting their full potential. Yes? Mhm. Right. 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 But you can supplement the classes? Exactly as is. Right. Because I think like the screenagers might be a great thing. I know the state has a game of cards like Do You Know Weed? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And 50% of it's good, 50%. Yeah. Well, and the 4 concentrate warnings, those are from the state of Colorado, so I don't know why you couldn't use those. You know what I mean? That it may cause psychosis, it may cause hyperemesis, it may. Right. Right. Well, and Ethan Andrew, the gentleman that's in recovery, he said, when you're 16 or 15 and you're not thinking about how it's affecting your brain. And we have to get them to start thinking about that. So I think that's key, is educating about that. So I'd love to see the module. I've never seen it. Yes, I would love to see it because it could be more powerful. Yeah, yeah, I'll come talk. Yes.
Yeah, I have been volunteering with Restorative Justice in Denver, and the majority of cases I've seen, only about 70 some, is driving while under the influence, kids under the age of 20.
Hmm. And how does that affect their lives?
Yeah, well, restorative justice, I think, is quite positive.
Right.
Normally they have a place to go.
Well, and it's hard because I think it's 5 nanograms is what you consider high. I mean, but THC can stay in your system for 30 days, so you may have it in your system and you're not high. It's not like a breathalyzer, which costs 2 cents to find out if you're high. So I know that they're working on a retina scan, and then they're also working on something, a couple other things in Michigan and Chicago or California on how to really make sure, test for high driving. Yes. Mm. Well, that's great. There's a book out that I can get you. It's called Protecting Health something cannabis. Anyways, but that's one of the things they say is that marijuana industry should not be at the table for any of regulation. They shouldn't. I mean, we have no stake in the game. I mean, we're not making millions of dollars protecting kids from marijuana. I mean, we are there to protect kids. So I think it's really important to get the right people at the table and push back and show up. Sometimes, like you said, if it's one voice, we've been the one voice for years in the room. And we're like, that doesn't sound right. Wait a second. So sometimes it just does take that is to stand up for what is right and what you feel needs to be done.
Yeah, a quick example of that is in this transition to this new administration, we went to the series of transition meetings that they were having in the public, and to your point, the one for the Department of Excise and License, which regulates marijuana in the city and county of Denver, the skew was like, and I'm just rounding the numbers here, but of the, let's say, 10 people involved, 8 of them were industry. And we took that concern directly to the person at the time who's the mayor-elect, and they were also in constant communication with the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment, which is one of the agencies that reports to the mayor, letting them know our concerns, and then also just briefly, because of what's going on, and we're starting to see some parallels now, psilocybin is legal. We're trying to get out on the front edge of the wave with that. And the city considers that to be a consumable, so that is actually under the purview of the health department and not excise and license, because technically there is not a sales model that exists. But 12 years ago, these models didn't exist either, and now we see the state we're in. So we're really trying to be proactive at both the local, state, and even the federal
Right.
level, as Doug mentioned, and as she mentioned, some of the things going on with carnival and stuff. And one of the things we also want to make clear is that it is an emotional issue, but we are not driven by emotion. We are driven by data, science, and medical facts.
And it does. I mean, over the years, I think the marijuana industry's had 70 to 100 lobbyists down at the Capitol, and the marijuana and the people that have been in protecting kids. There's been one who we've hired, and we do get stuff done. I mean, so it does. Sometimes it does feel like David and Goliath, but just sometimes that one voice of reason, because a lot of this stuff is reasonable, like childproof packaging and markings, and it shouldn't be in the shape of a teddy bear. Like they're pretty common sense. pools or, right, daycare centers, right? Wow. And you protected kids saying that across the country, because as Denver goes, and especially in the distance requirement, that is actually becoming best practice across the country. So you go, Jude.